Perfect. Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Jean Gallagher and founder of Discover Rising Tides. Welcome to show number 45, Discover Rising Tides, How the Outside Makes the Inside Better, where we explore the importance of the outdoors and maintaining life balance. Through this series, we will be talking with women business owners to understand their journey. And today, as always, we start with our Healthy Living, Happy Life segment with Denise Stegall. Hi, Denise.
Hello, hello. Good to see you, Jean.
Hey, Denise is an international best-selling author of Healthy Living, Happy Life, a practical path to finding a healthy lifestyle that works for you, and curator of Living Healthy List. And this month's topic is Embrace Blissful Harmony, Cultivating Order and Serenity in Your Physical and Emotional Space. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm good. Sorry for that long title.
I know. I got it, though. I'm a little tongue-tied today.
I'm good. I'm good. It's a beautiful day here in Minnesota. We're seeing the sun, which is always a bonus.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, the spring is finally upon us, which means in about a week, summer will be here.
And the bug season, right? Yeah, no complaining. And the bugs.
Yeah, exactly.
So what do you have for us for today?
So I want to talk a little bit about this idea of cultivating order and serenity in our lives. And you could see the New Yorker in me comes out, sorry, with my hands flailing everywhere. But order and serenity in our physical space, but also we'll talk more about this in the next episode, in our mental space as well. And every now and then, we talk about spring. We talk about spring cleaning, and that's a topic in itself. But really embracing this idea of order in our physical space can do so much for us when it comes to mental clarity and reducing our stress, improving our productivity and focus, all by really kind of having order in our space. And, for those of us who work at home, whether we have a home office or a space in a room, I'm pretty fortunate. I have our spare bedroom is my physical space. And what I love about this is because this is my own personal space, I've put my own touches into it, that I do feel inspired when I'm here. And I think that's really an important thing when it comes to life these days is, everything can be such a mess. Like we're all busy. There's always so much to do. But to have that one space where it's your space, it's when you're there, you're comfortable, you can calm yourself, you can kind of reduce your stress and really kind of feel like this is your place within the home. Obviously I have a beautiful space outside on my deck that we started to put into order over the weekend. So physical space, obviously inside and outside.
And, I never thought about the order piece and then also combining it with serenity, but order does bring that simplistic thought process to things. And it just helps settle things down. I mean, if you looked at my desk, you would say, oh my goodness gracious, but everything is in its place kind of. But it does need a little spring cleaning.
I think it's important if, sometimes my desk looks to somebody, and this may be like what you're saying, it may look messy to someone, but I know what, I have a pile here on my left. I know what's in here. And these are things that I go through every day. For example, I have my brand strategy. That I need that when I'm looking at, what am I going to write today? What am I going to post today? And then I have and this is how I come up with my topics. This is my year plan. So every month I know what I'm talking about. And so occasionally when you'll email me and say, hey, Denise, what's our topic? And I kind of like, I don't know until I look.
On my desk.
It's on my desk. I know it's there.
And there's a piece of relief that comes with having all of that laid out so that you're not scrambling at the end of the month trying to figure out what's going to be next month. And there's some intention with that. For me, it's a to-do list. I'm a paper, I have, everything is virtual except for my to-do list. My calendar is virtual, but my to-do list is paper because it gives me the opportunity to change it, but also the satisfaction of completion and crossing it out.
Oh, I love that. My husband turned me on to this a handful of years ago. I use index cards. They're lined, so you can put everything on a line. Each thing has its own little place. So again, maybe that's a little OCD, but it's orderly, as opposed to, I've had things like here, I've got a note stuff on this sticky note. You probably can't even see it. And it's just kind of random stuff. And every now I look at this and I'm like, I don't even know what it means.
Right.
Because it's just a random piece of paper. And that's one of the things, again, about kind of that order. Sticky notes are horrible for that. It's okay if you have one, but I remember a time when I was working in Philadelphia where I had a sticky note. I kid you not. They were all around my desktop. And so like, how was I keeping track of all of these things? And so I needed to find a way to simplify and create more order. And that's really why I like to talk about, cultivating some order around your life, your physical space, and how that does.
Yeah, sorry. Something that just came to me when you were talking about all of the stickies around, is we're all, I should say we, but most of us are all challenged with multitasking, like we do it too much. And the challenge is, can I do more? It is, I need to do one thing at a time. And having all of those stickies all over the place, it could feel very scattered, and it would be difficult to concentrate on this one thing because you've got this other thing staring at you. Absolutely.
And that's in a way, that's a beautiful thing about having your calendar on the computer, and rather than, remember the old fashioned desk
on the desktop. Yeah.
And because I remember always looking at like, what am I doing? Where am I going? What can I put this? What more can I fit in this day? And then by like the first week of the month, the calendar was so full, and there was doodles and notes all over it that I couldn't decipher. Okay, well, what am I doing this week? What is important? Kind of like, what is the one thing? And I always go back to that book that I read years ago now. What's the one thing that I need to do today? Or what's the one thing I need to do in this hour? And again, that order just brings, it brings your stress level down. Like you can breathe, and it really does create this feeling inside you that you know what you're doing. You're not so scattered, even when you have a million things to do.
Right. And I love that this is the topic today, because this is going to really flow really well into when we talk with Karrie as well. I think, and it's going to be a great transition, because we do really need to simplify, not to do less, but simplify our process so that we feel less scattered and can actually give ourselves a chance to be focused and more present. And social media does this to us too, because we have so many things on our phone to look at, right? And, well, I'm going to go to this, and I'm going to go to this, or I'm going to look this up. And now all of a sudden our brains are going I'm just talking about myself. I think this is like disclosure time. Like my screen's all over here. And then all of a sudden I go, well, 45 minutes just went by, and what the hell did I just do? And I forgot what I was supposed to be doing.
Struggling with that.
Yeah.
I think we're all struggling with that. And we were talking about this earlier today. Remember, if you have a cell phone, especially one like this, there's too much information. We were joking about going back to the old flip phone.
Flip phones, yeah.
Basically, you could make a phone call from it. I mean, if you wanted to text, because it was so complicated, you had to press the same button so many times. I remember like text back then was yes, no. Yeah. On your way,
AAA.
Tweet. Nowadays, I mean, I'm guilty of this. I'll write a text, and it's like a book.
Right.
But I think what's really important as we're talking about this is when we simplify and have this oasis in our physical space, it allows us to be more creative and foster inspiration, as opposed to desperation that I think we feel when we're always looking at social media and trying to do all of the things.
I really love that. And I'm going to stop you there. So inspiration versus desperation. That's really phenomenal.
I just said that.
I know you did.
I'm like, whoa, I just said that.
That's why I had to stop you.
But and what I mean is, when we're, we all have a job, a career, something that lights us up, and we want to feel inspired. If you walk into a space that's cluttered and ugly, or not, if there's not enough natural light, there is no inspiration there. So you want to have a space, physical space, but also emotional space. And again, we'll talk about that next time. To be able to just go, I've got this great idea, and great ideas pop into your mind so much easier when you're in a comfortable space, when you're less stressed, as opposed to that desperation where we're looking at a blank screen going, I got to write an email. I got to write a post. And we end up, stressing out about something that we should be excited about, inspired by. And instead we're struggling with this desperate attempt to get something out there, say something, write something, whatever it might be.
Yeah, I agree. And this is really so important to talk about. So what would be a few points that people should either recognize, or some action points for them to help break this down? Because it's almost like cleaning out, and what's her name? Marie
Forleo.
No,
the Kondo.
Yes, that's it. It's like a Marie Kondo for your desk or your thoughts or that organizational piece. But what are some great tips for people to consider?
I think the first thing is to go into the space that you spend the most time in. And it could be your bedroom. I mean, we do sleep, hopefully 8 hours a night. But if it's a workspace, find that space that you're in the most, and give it your personal personality. Make sure it has natural light, or at least as much natural light as you can bring in. I have in the wintertime, I have to bring in a lot of extra lighting, just because in Minnesota, sun is really low and it's dark. So for me, that was something, I'm much more inspired. I had been feeling much more inspired in the summer months, spring and summer, but I was feeling really blah in the winter and just not excited. And it all had to do with lighting. It also, I brought in some plants, greenery, kind of like, this is where we got to bring the outside in sometimes. Even though I can see out my window, I have my prairie grass and my trees out there. But having them in close proximity, the oxygen is cleaner. We just feel more at peace when we have plants. So those are some of the things, first concentrate on your space, and I say the room that you spend the most time in, the bedroom is different, because like the bedroom it's a shared room, the living room, shared room, kitchen, that's mostly my space, so in addition to my office, the kitchen is my other space, and that has to be, that has my personality. And I think for most people, you kind of like, the kitchen can be a catch-all. And so you want to just kind of make sure that clutter has its space too. Same thing in your office, in your space. As we were saying before, you have stuff that you need to have at your fingertips. But if it's clutter, that needs to have a home of its own. And that just clearing the space clears your mind and helps you focus, because you're not going, oh, I've got all that mess over there, I've got to put that away somewhere. And so first tip, I would say, take your space and make it yours.
Great. That's awesome. Thanks, Denise.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Always fun to chat.
It is a good time. And I look forward to the emotional conversation.
Me too.
And so let's transition to our main guest today. And I'm really excited to introduce Karrie Klimas. Hi, Karrie.
Hello. Good to be
Welcome,
here.
welcome, welcome. So Karrie is a South Florida native. over 13 years in extensive networking and experience in retail sales and communication, marketing and leadership and presentation skills. She's committed to her human potential through one-on-one personal training, accountability, and attending monthly experiential workshops to create an ideal life with more passion and purpose. And so I'm really excited about talking about this because we're going to talk a little bit about, well, a lot of bit about everything that you do. So start us off, give us a little bit about your background and how you transitioned into what you're doing today.
All right. Well, thank you again, Janine and Fred, for having me. And so I'm a South Florida native. I was in the corporate world for about 18 years. I've been an executive assistant. So I kind of said, manage other people's times and help them stay organized. And I remember having a conversation with some ladies at the corporate job and I like to be on my own. I was in a networking marketing company at the time called Party Light. And so all of a sudden, next thing you know, I got fired, yay, on December 7th of 2009, and then went to a networking event December 31st. Met this guy, Norman. I was a candle lady for 5 years, and he asked me if I, consider branding myself, but I didn't know what that meant. So took the time to sit down with him, and he helped me co-create my first business called Gift Problem Solver. And I used to go to conferences and seminars, and I'm sure like most people, we get excited about people we meet and take down notes, but often turning those habits, what we wrote down into a reality, a result. But, that doesn't happen very easy without somebody holding us accountable. So the universe brought me a coach, and I've, been part of a company called Self-Discovery Life Mastery for the last 13 years. People would always tell me I was good at networking, being interested in people, asking questions, and good at follow-ups. Yeah, I thought that was normal, but to find out it wasn't. And so being a life mastery coach, co-led a communications workshop, and been on my own, since October of 21, and decided, okay, how do I finally create this is my third GPS business called Great Partnership Solutions, because the workshop was called Great People Skills. And so giving my time to others who also want to grow, but not knowing how to take that time to have more structure and clarity and, have that work-life balance I trust most people would like to have.
Networking is not for everybody, but everybody should be networking, right?
Oh, since we've been playing on a playground since we were kids, so we have been networking. Is that label?
I like that. I like that a lot because I think in business we put so much pressure onto this networking thing, but you're right. We've been doing this for a long time without a definition. That's fantastic. And so let's step back for just a second. The transition between corporate to self-employed, how was that for you? Was it challenging? I know a lot of people have. I've made that transition a long time ago as well, and everybody's experience is so different.
Well, I would say I knew I didn't want to stay back in corporate, so I guess my attitude was I'm going to do whatever it takes so I don't have to go back there. So I'm grateful. I remember, not only this guy Norman for helping me brand my business, I did go to a networking event, and this lady invited me when I was in corporate, found her number. Her boyfriend seemed to network 3 times a week. So I just grabbed onto him and started going with him to different events.
That's fantastic.
Right.
Yeah. So 1 foot forward.
Yeah. Well, then having a license and, I used to have a resale certificate. So I guess it's like stairs, one step at a time. I kept, growing, but yeah, scary, but exciting. I just knew I just didn't want to go back to corporate.
That's probably the motivating factor for a lot of people in to have that independence. And so, but you are also a very self-motivated person too. Is that right?
I would say my parents are are optimistic and fun and loving and adventurous in a sense. So yeah, I get that from them, but how do I actually be that way 24/7? What's the goal?
Right. And so tell me about your business today and how does that work and what services do you provide?
Sure. So the company is, called Great Partnership Solutions, and I consider myself a time, mindset, and management specialist. So again, I give my time to others who are looking to grow both personally and professionally and support them. I think most people, myself included, is needing clarity without, people run around too much. So my time is for, even before getting on this call, is wrapping up with a client who now feels more organized. He has more structure, not knowing how to focus their time or even time blocking, making sure, because you write it down, but making sure what day and time to get it done. So I give my time for people who want to have like a working session, looking at the activities and where they struggle with the planning, organization, goals, as well as relationships, because it takes time to build relationships, whether it's active listening, presentation skills, being more empathetic and respectful of our own time as well as for other people. And so I give my time to help people get clarity on that. I also host a networking skills workshop, a networking practice workshop, and a goal setting workshop. Most of those are all in person, but often I also do it virtually as well every other month too, for individuals, professionals, companies, and teams. And I do side things. And since I've been an executive, I use Canva, so I can teach people Canva, Calendly, Calendar, Word, Excel, PowerPoint presentations, MailChimp, anything that I do well. And, how can I be a guide? It's like a tutor for children. So how can I support an adult to, learn something so they do walk away feeling much more accomplished, knowing how to do it themselves.
And so when you're working with somebody, that's the time mindset piece and that management thing, I think is just so important. So if you talk about it and you say, well, time blocking seems very simple, but honestly, it can be a very challenging practice to start. And what are some roadblocks that you found that people struggle with when they're in that pre-organizational part of this process?
Well, from my awareness and what I see when people meet me the first time and maybe often don't come back a second time, and if they do, I'm grateful, because that shows me that they obviously want that next step. And often what I hear is they don't even look at the paperwork since we've met. So my goal is that now that because I have it written now, like 5 steps. So my goal is now that they can reflect on these 5 steps. The same thing we do together is the same thing that they can do as well in their own time. But again, it's just there because those patterns are not a practice, like any kind of sport or anything that takes consistent practice is going to need accountability. So again, we talk a lot, but not knowing how to consistently make it happen.
So that's interesting. So it is the follow through after we're in at the moment. I feel like this is like, so after talking with Denise and I'm exposing everything that I've been dealing with, and now we're going to do it here again too. So I've struggled with that in the past too, like in the moment. And, you're saying going to conferences and you're like, all ready to do it. But when you get back and looking at your notes that you took or reviewing that information, because in my head, I think I've got this right. But honestly, to practice that was really challenging for me for a very, very long time.
Everything in life became, our parents taught us, teachers taught us, but after we get older, maybe graduate, I'll say that there's less of people around us to help us, support us, and keep growing. And some people don't grow. Our ages get older, but often we don't, find other masters or experts to help us grow. Lady today, she's like, I need help. I said, well, just like any alcoholic or drug addict, or you got to become aware of yourself and say, I need the help. If I'm not needing it, I can't, I said, well, good. I appreciate your honesty for saying that. I'm willing to, yes, no, I need help. Being more ambitious and driven.
Yeah. Asking for help, but asking for help is honestly different than saying I need help.
But today it's still also, people can need help, but are they willing to take it? We always have a saying, always working with the willing. If I'm not willing, I can't do anything for. If you're not willing, I can't do anything for. If I want to eat lunch, I'm not willing to go eat. I guess I'm starving. Okay, well, question always is, what are you willing to do? We all have free will every day. But that willingness and practice and consistency and looking forward to the ideal outcome, because often we don't imagine what the outcome could be like. So keeping our attention focused on that result.
And a lot of these, and a lot of your practices, they're also really attached to or dependent upon the goal setting piece to help people realize, well, why am I going to go through these steps here? Well, maybe if you have a goal in mind or you're working towards something, what you're actually working towards, that makes a difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, even when we get in a car, aren't we driving somewhere? We are going to go somewhere. So in a sense, I'm a human GPS, we are, but we don't have a plan to get somewhere. Often people plan a vacation and take that time because they are looking forward to going, but after they get back, they don't consider how they plan their everyday life. as if they were on vacation every day, keeping the phone down, having fun activities. So why not consistently have that every day and every week? Why do you have to look, forward to a vacation?
That's a really good point. Let's talk about that for just a second, because I think, that is really an area that I don't know that people might observe of themselves. And we spend so much time planning every second of a vacation or every stage, whatever that happens to be, but then come back on our regular life. Are we putting in that effort to plan?
And what to look forward to, because often people are back in the rat race. They can't wait for the next vacation, but they might not even be around for the next vacation. Their whole life could be totally different. You don't even know if you're going to be going with the same people. But I mean, if every day you live somewhere and, people say, do I travel? I said, yeah, outside my front door every day. Now, do I take the time to go to the beach, put the phone down, relax? Well, I do. I would do the same thing on vacation as I do here. Why wouldn't I? Well, because I go to Texas, why does it make any difference if I stay in my own backyard every day and do that?
That's fantastic. Yeah. So can you say that again? So they ask if you travel every day. So just say, because I think that's just a really great point.
So yes, I travel outside my front door. But I mean, I am going to go somewhere, whether it's to a networking event, get lunch, or to, pick up something. I am going somewhere, but if you're going vacation, why not do the same thing? And we're all going to go somewhere.
Yeah. And making those, whatever activity that is, where you're even if you're running errands or you're going to a work event, making it more productive. But doesn't that also create more time to take for yourself, to have more enjoyment time as well, right?
Well, I would trust, because when people say they're busy, I said, well, I don't use the word busy. If I'm going to use the word busy, I'm busy being productive, focusing on my growth, having more time for myself. So absolutely. Like, I met a lady today and she's got a son, and, I'll say most likely as women, we're nurturers by nature, and we get a lot of our time and attention to other people and make ourselves last. So my goal is, she said, well, I don't know where to find a time. I said, well, if we found an hour a day or every other day, what would you do with it? And I said, what if you didn't have to go to your son's games all the time? Because I asked, she's not married. Or he said, well, is the father still around? She goes, yes. I said, what if he was able to take part in those games sometimes, like you, and you and I can meet? She's like, oh. I said, well, considering where she gives so much of her time without trying to get the balance from somebody else to help her so she can do things she wants.
Yeah, it is that inclination to that we need to do it all. And we need to be the one that's doing it all, inside and outside of the home or at work. And there's that piece of delegating that can be challenging for people.
Well, that's why I hint the sense of communication. So, using myself as an example, I had a boyfriend years ago, but I just didn't know how to communicate, and I allowed these things to happen. I allowed myself to not know how to respect myself or value myself. So as I gained confidence and courage in myself, and I could realize he wasn't that interested, or in myself, I'm like, well, I can appreciate him as a person, but I want to be more interested in myself and feel my wants and needs. And if he's not interested, it's not for me, and that's okay. But I took the time to value myself and appreciate myself more for my time and how, who I spend it with. So that's my goal, is supporting people to lead by example through their attitudes, behaviors, and actions, so they become the ideal partner, leader, client, and then, they want to work with.
How do you help people figure that out? It's easy to say, but it can be very challenging to figure out what the definition of all those categories really are for yourself.
Well, first thing I do, if somebody is interested, there's skills, time management skills, and communication skills. So I create like a checkbox, and so they can actually check off the areas that they feel they have challenges in. So the goal is to first be honest about it, so we can then define it. And so then I support them and, then say, well, these are the 5 steps I offer. If you're ready now to be more productive, be more organized, spend more quality time on yourself, have less being better at conflicts with people. So again, yes. Okay. Well, I have a solution for you. Oh, okay. And people would say, Karrie, you're very precise. I said, well, good. You're picking up what I'm putting down. So good. But if I can't define, it's like because realtors in a sense are my niche. It's just like if somebody wants to buy a home, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, bathroom, toilets, a shower, a car garage, but if we're not defining what they're looking for with a checkbox so I can remember what they're looking for, how can I go out and get what they are looking for?
Mhm.
How can I be their solution if I'm not defining what it is they really want and need and making sure I paid attention to them and they felt heard, because most people would like to feel more heard and respected, but often we don't know how to do that for ourselves. So my goal is to teach them how to do that.
Do you find that there can be a struggle for people to define that?
Well, of course, we don't. Most people are too busy on to the next thing. We don't easily take pauses to take the time. And I'll say from my own experience as well, I have a blood family and a soul family. I feel like we don't have enough people around us that really have our backs. So if we had people that do their best to love us and appreciate us, but doesn't mean they actually have the skills and confidence to help us gain things that we really might need that they're not capable of, or just go find a local store. Well, where is that store? I mean, what if you had a human that could help me get that? I mean, I'm sure all of us can appreciate people who we've been introduced to, so we can actually help us move us forward. So finding somebody that can lead you to something. I mean, it sounds great, but making that connection to introduce somebody to help that help that process move forward.
So do you have any tips for networking for people?
Sure, absolutely.
I
Well,
knew
first
you
one,
did.
be open to it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's talk about that part. Let's break this down a little bit, because we can all talk about networking and it makes it sound easy, but I think that there's steps that for some people, there's some uncomfortableness that comes with it. And networking has changed immensely after COVID, before COVID. There's been quite a change. And now a lot of us are networking in person, but also virtually as well. So what is the openness to networking?
Well, first, if we take the label off, we're just meeting people. We're building connections. So the goal is that if you want to create win-win connections and opportunities and outcomes, well, I got to meet people. So if you're actually open to meeting people and connect and finding out, what those available services. I mean, the world changes so much faster than most human beings do, but as long as taking an open mind and attitude to be open to what people have to offer and hear, and taking the time to sit down with them, develop a relationship. I will say to people, if your friend comes in town, don't you take the time to sit down with them, have a coffee? Or, well, that's the same thing we're doing in networking. If you're dating, isn't going to maybe the first or second date, coffee or dinner? Well, same thing we're doing in networking, meeting people, finding out what each other's looking for. How can I be of value and service to this person?
I like that. How can I be of value and service to them? Not how can I sell them my stuff?
Correct. And I will say from my own personal experience, coming out of corporate and all of a sudden becoming an entrepreneur, we weren't having in corporate, I don't have to find a client. All of a sudden I'm on this big world. Now I might, because I sold candles and purses and jewelry, be like, hey, you want? Well, until I had a coach and became self-awareness of how I operated, I was open, because defensive isn't going to get me anywhere, but I was open to say, wow, I didn't realize I was doing that. I didn't know. I don't like people doing that to me. Oh, that's me.
Exactly.
Right. But until somebody's willing to admit it and then make change, well, how can I be willing to make something different? How do I like to be approached? How do I like to be communicated with? How do I manage to do that for myself so I come across that way? But without people around us to help us get that, where's the way to be, how can I define that to see my progress? And I am creating something better without the opportunity to have feedback too from a coach.
I like that. I like that. How do we like to be approached in those kinds of situations? And are we doing that to others? That's a really great part. So I'm going to take the label off of networking and we're going to call it meeting people. Okay. That's perfect. So the labels are really important to identify with, or if you don't identify with them, change them to make them more accessible to you, because it's the 6 inches between our ears that's really messing these processes up. So once we've changed a label and we're open to meeting people, what's next?
Well, I'd say, take the time to say, where would you like to meet people? Is it in person? Is it online? I mean, take the opportunity to have a goal and maybe one of each, for a week. When you go to this event, having a goal, what would, I would say, know your numbers. If you're going to one, if you're going to walk away with one after 2 hours, what would you like to walk away with? I'd say walk away with like 2 or more connections. I'll say there's people we might have good conversations with, great, meet them. You might have people interested in what you offer, great, meet them. If there's somebody who has no interest and vice versa, don't worry about them. Just focus on meeting the ones you had great connections and look forward to developing those relationships. And, follow up and, follow up and encourage each other that, hey, I'd like to meet for coffee or virtual, but if somebody did 1 a week and, kept practicing that week by week, because often people maybe network too much, but don't always take the time to follow up.
Okay. So let's talk about the follow-up process.
Okay. Well, hang on. So I go to networking events, and I'm sure everybody here likes money. So if you like money, tangible. So I take a notebook and I staple all the business cards in a notebook, and that's where I keep track of my follow up, where I met them. Maybe I called or email or text. So I've got, I don't keep books and books of these because I'll give people like 3 or 4 months. If I call, email, text, and they're open to having that coffee appointment. Awesome. Well, let's see what the next, what that opportunity looks like.
And that coffee appointment, the intention of that is how can I be of service to you and learn about your business?
Absolutely. And also being prepared, I keep a planner with me in my purse. So I have a planner, I take the notes. I use this analogy quite often. I'm a server at a restaurant. How may I serve you? So I got pen and paper. So I'm ready to go. What are you looking for? Okay. By asking great questions. If I have a brochure of my events or my trifold that has my services, again, so I can also leave them with something if that's something they want to go home and also take a look at.
I like that. And then follow up, because, a lot of that gets lost. You come home with business cards, or you give your business cards out to a lot of people, and then that's the end of it. So that networking event really was a space and time that didn't produce anything other than you said you had an activity on your calendar.
Right. Well, the goal is that, we find somebody who, as I always talk to the leader. If you connect with somebody who networks often, connect with them, finding out more events are going on, like I do with my guy. When I met him, I followed around to 3 networking events. So finding somebody who's an expert and masters these, that's the point. Follow them, see what they're doing. And, again, you have to be very open and, open to these opportunities. If I'm not open, how can I see anything else that's out there? If I shut it down, having that open mind and open attitude to go in there to create an ideal outcome.
Yeah. And then the other piece too, that what you said really makes me think about this, and is to be a connector. So if you're networking and you're following up and you're actually paying attention to who you're talking to, and generally involved in understanding what do they need in their business, as you're going through your networking process, you're could possibly come across somebody that they might want to talk to. Being that referral partner, that also is a great source of business that will come around to you too, isn't it?
Absolutely. I'd say be sure to, I've been networking for 13 years. I teach it, but again, I might not have met everybody at the networking events, like school. I'm going to see the same people over again, but never knowing where they're at, what they might be looking for, but keep all relationships, still ending with on a positive outcome, that you do, if you do business or not, but, keeping up with where people are and keep saying hello, checking in, see how people are doing. But at the end of the day, it's all relationship building. They might not need me today. I got clients that reach out to me maybe a year later, all of a sudden they're ready. But I'm glad they think of me, because people don't care how much I know until they know how much I care, and leaving that positive outcome with them.
Yeah, it's very important. It is. And it is really, networking really is relationship building. And I think genuinely showing that you are interested in what they're saying. So it comes down to some body language pieces too, doesn't it?
Well, yes and no. I'm going to say the body language might steal your attention from really paying attention. So just observing and being more interested in them, just listening to how they say things and being aware of their body languages matches what they say. At the end of the day, do they really, what they're saying, act what they actually do? Again, if you feel this person has genuine interest in you and vice versa, then meet them. If you feel this person, at the end of the day, listen to your intuition, trust your intuition. And, I told a lady today, I said, I would sit down with coffee. You already like you already. I'd meet you. I'd love to meet you again. So I'm able to say that.
Yeah.
I would like to work with you.
And also for yourself too, to be aware of what your body language is. Do you have eye contact, or are your eyes darting around the room, or are you actually not, you're not really paying attention, but you're having a dialogue with thoughts someplace else, not being present also makes a difference.
Yeah, but the average attention span's 8 seconds. Most people aren't able to give us their full attention. They aren't able to be as present.
Are you kidding? Really?
Yeah.
No wonder I have issues.
Because part of people hear me, but part of you somewhere else onto what you want to say and your own maybe motive. But I'm not really listening to this person. But my goal is like, what if you paid more attention to yourself and took the time to fulfill your wants and needs? And once my needs are met, would you think I might have more time and interest to pay attention to you? Right. Yeah. So that's a goal I teach people is they're spending quality time on themselves so they fulfill their wants and needs. And so they would have more interest in others. My cup is full. I'm ready to communicate that. Like, all right, my cup is full. Anybody want my time? You want to organize? You want a wing woman? Do you want, some time structure? I'm open. Anybody? But that's the attitude. Okay. First come, first serve. Who wants it?
And let's talk about the clarity piece.
Okay.
And so how do you see a difference when you're working with clients and they're going through your 5-step process? Do you see a difference in the clarity that they're bringing to their business or their situation? And how does that develop?
Well, we sit down to be able to look at everything they want to get accomplished on their professional side and personal side. So I sit down and, give them the goals that they write down, specific timely goals, whether it's in 2 months, in July. One lady today, she's like, I need to have these 2 things done by the end of the day. I said, okay, write that down. So the goal is to take action in the moment. I do practice a mindset exercise with them. I do have them, okay, pull out your calendar right now. And I want you to put in your calendar in the morning and the afternoon and evening, a 10-minute to do everything we just did today. So there's 5 simple steps that includes the mindset exercise, reviewing the goals that you wrote down, reviewing, your calendar. So being able, to practice everything. Oh, morning, I didn't check my list. Oh, didn't check my list at lunch. Oh, that's right. If I don't keep looking at what we just did and keeping consistent in front of me, that's, so I do support them and have it on their alarm. Now, is that going to happen overnight? No, but at least I set them up for success.
Yeah, that makes sense, because I find that if I don't look at my to-do list is absolutely worthless because I've gone on some other tangent and I didn't handle those priorities that should have been handled. So that makes total sense. And checking it the night at the end of the day, where were you at and what did you complete? But then also making a new list for fresh in the morning, and then in the morning checking your list to get yourself started and get your head in the right space.
Right. And I will say a lot of the mindset exercise, what I teach people is everything starts with I am productive. I am organized. So I support people to say more I's versus you. I'm going to be productive. I'm looking at my list. I'm doing that. The question is, do you want that? Because I'm not attached to anybody's answers. So then we can do it together. That's why we're going to be a great partnership, so we can focus on the solution.
It creates ownership.
Right. Well, I am successful. I'm willing. I need help. I'm willing to make some changes. I'm willing to be productive. I'm willing to be more organized. So at the end of the day, I am is the 2 most powerful words in the English language. How can I support people in taking more ownership in that? Most of us do speak third person you, so it's more generalized versus, oh, I'm not really talking about myself. I mean, you are, but you said earlier, I think you did say that's back to me. Yes, it always does.
Oh, that makes sense. And what you say happens. And if you do say I am and be less general, it can really sink in and take effect.
Well, you can say that too. Oh, if I say I, it takes into effect. Yes, I'm eating this lunch. I'm going to go eat. I'm going to be, I'm hungry. I'm going to fulfill my wants and needs. Right. Cool. And how would that feel? Oh, yeah. And so to be grounded and confident.
Exactly. Yes. Grounded and confident. Yes, definitely. And so when you're not helping clients stay organized, what are you doing for yourself to take care of yourself?
Oh, wow. Since I'm my number one priority, yes. Well, I take time for, I enjoy dining, dancing, pampering myself. My pampering is, I recently come across me. I'm a time person. We carry a lot of stored stresses on ourselves, our shoulders and our neck. So I enjoy a chair massage usually every other week. If not, if I'm in the area, I'll treat myself. And that might be 15 minutes or 30 minutes. So I mentioned earlier about my human potential. So I've been investing in that usually definitely once a month with my community. Being with friends, trying new activities, relaxing, doing laundry, doing the things that I enjoy, working out, whatever feels right for me, relaxing at the end of the night, watching a good show. Just meeting, I'm always open to new things. I mean, I got a treadmill, so happy to be on again yesterday, feeling that getting whatever you want to get accomplished. So I have that time to what feels right.
One thing that we were talking about before a few weeks ago when we first met, and because here's a little interesting little take a little side note here is the theme of the podcast is how the outside makes the inside better. However, what really caught me is when you were talking about dancing, your face lit up, and I got to think, it's not always about the outside, and it's also about, it could be about what activities we do. And that really got me thinking, and it really wanted me to talk to you about this too, because you were talking about dancing and that expression and the music and what that does for you. So let's talk about that a little bit, because I know that there's a lot of people that, especially in South Florida in the summertime, I lived in Florida for 10 years and it was Northern Florida, not South Florida. And it's hot and it's muggy and it rains at 3 o'clock every day. So sometimes 2:30 when you're not planning on it. So let's talk a little bit about that. So how is the dancing important to what you do or who you are?
Sure. I'm going to say everybody has it inside them, but if you're too busy in your head, you're not able to feel, because everything's about feeling. So if you feel good, doesn't the body want to move? We all have music inside. We all want to be able to express ourselves. So when I remember growing up, I would go to, we had a club over here that was for 18 and younger, before 21. But I mean, I would, enjoy music. There's a couple great songs called Born to Be Alive. And I'm so excited. So when I started working on myself, I'm like, no wonder why I like those songs. I'm not here to Born to Be Dead. And I'm so excited. Well, why not own it? Okay, well, but after I got off the dance floor, I didn't know how to be that confident self. And so until I got into my personal growth, I'm like, well, we all, even people who play music, the music's inside of us. We're just not knowing how to get it out. And some people have to play it through instruments. Some people, even sports is a somewhat of an art. I mean, we all have, we are a piece of artwork, but we're not knowing how to, express our creativity, whatever it is that we do good, we're good at, or things that we enjoy, whether we're making money or, through it or not. But at the end of the day, I think we all don't always spend enough time on the things that we do enjoy, whether it's dancing in my own living room or going out to a place that has a good DJ. And I try to get there at least twice a month, go out and just walk around the neighborhoods outside, inside, outside. So yeah, being around people that also, because when people are dancing and you got a favorite song on, we're all one, we're all enjoying ourselves. And we forget all that stuff, we're not hooked on all that other junk, but being to be around those people, we can just be ourselves and enjoy.
I love that. And not being afraid to have personal expression.
Absolutely. We're all unique and fascinating until we can actually own that, and being able to express ourselves however creatively way we do it. But most people why are people wallflowers? Because they're too busy in their head trying to judge, think what other people are thinking. Believe me, most people don't even care about what you're thinking. You're too busy in your head worrying about it. Just get out there. Everybody's just happy to have you out there. Well, we're our own worst enemy.
That is the truth. We do spend a lot of time, or maybe this is where I'm supposed to go from you to I.
I'm my own worst enemy. Well, why do I do that to myself?
And spending a lot of time worrying about what other people are thinking, or what other people think is expected of you.
And they're not even thinking that. We're so busy in our own head and they have no idea. That's what we get caught in judgment. I thought you're going to say that. No, where are you? Get back to here now.
Yeah. And you do that a lot. You do that a lot in the business space. And also you do that a lot outside of business. And dancing is a great example of that. But going through scenarios of, you think that's how somebody's going to react before you even have a conversation, or you think how somebody's going to react based upon some made up stuff that's in your head that has nothing to do with what just happened. And all of a sudden you've convinced yourself that, oh, I can't do this. Oh, I can't go dancing. I can't go do this because other people are going to blah, 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 blah.
Well, that's what we do to ourselves. So, but at the end of the day, that's that self-talk. So my goal is that mindset I teach people is actually have a better self-talk. We got 60,000 thoughts a day. Let's say 80-20 rule, probably 80% of it's against ourselves rather than 20% for ourselves. So if I was hanging around more people that were cheering for me, acknowledging me, what do you think is going to happen day by day, week by week? Well, that's what I am for people, because most people don't take the time to acknowledge themselves. So what if you did go Karrie, go me, every little win? But most people don't take that time to pause and acknowledge every small win that leads to a big win.
And that's where you come into play.
Well, that would be my goal. Like, it doesn't matter if you're like a child, you're crawling until you walk. The child doesn't get up 5 times and go, Mom and Dad, I'm done with this walking thing. No, parents are going, go. Well, most of us don't have those people in our lives. So that's what I want to be, to support people, motivate them.
So if people need to be supported and are looking for you and your services, what does that look like? How do they get in contact with you, and what's the setup process for that?
Sure. Well, first, they can go to greatpartnershipsolutions.com. There's a couple buttons on there if they want to click on to, set up a 30-minute discovery call. I think it's maybe 15. Either way. Or I still have an ebook that I give away that has to do with personal productivity. They can put their information in that to receive a ebook. I also have a YouTube channel, Karrie Klimas GPS. It's got short videos on time management, communication, organization, about my services, my workshops. So being able to, people feel related to what I'm saying and they feel inspired to connect, and they can go to the Great Partnership Solutions. They can also message me at Karrie, Karrie at greatpartnershipsolutions.com. I'm open to all possibilities. It's the willingness that they want to take the time for us to connect, and we'll find out what they're looking for, their goals, and see where we can go from there.
Wonderful. Karrie, it's been a pleasure talking with you. And I want to thank you so much for spending the time and talking with us today.
Well, thank you, Janine and Fred, for having me. It's great to be with everybody.
Yeah. Thank you so much for listening today. Today's show was sponsored by Seaside Solutions, my financial services company. As a business owner, it's easy to be pulled in many different directions, and often taking care of yourself plummets to the bottom of the list. For me, I find myself outside to reground. My time outdoors helps me manage my day more effectively and be more present for my clients. Through this, Discover Rising Tides was born. At Seaside Solutions, we truly believe that education is the foundation of financial wellness. Our primary focus is to provide guidance that is designed to help you achieve your long-term financial goals and visions. Working with a plan allows space for doing more things that you love, like being outside to make the inside better. If I can help you create or realign your plan, or if you would like to be added to my weekly newsletter, please let me know. This week's topic was 5 ways to set more achievable goals. Your referral means the big, beautiful world to me, and if I can help, please let me know. And thank you so much for listening, and see you next time.